What's going on, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking us on out. Much appreciated, as we got a bunch of stuff going on right now. I got to be honest with you. These headphones aren't even plugged into anything right now. I was doing an interview earlier here today, and I can't hear anything. I'm not even listening to myself right now, so I don't even know why this is here. Does this plug into anything over here? Who cares? Let's take them off. Anyway, thanks for checking us out, guys. So yesterday was Miami Heat exit media day. And the Miami Heat, have their players have it's a voluntary thing. They don't all have to go. Max Strus spoke, Gabe Vincent spoke, Bam and Spo, they talked. Then a lot of the role guys talked. I would say fringe role guys. You heard from Jamal Cain, Omer Yurtseven, Orlando Robinson, Haywood Highsmith. But I would say, some interesting nuggets that came out of all of that stuff. I wasn't boots on the ground for this. I was on the air at the time, so went back and watched it on the Heat's website. Haywood Highsmith not wanting to go to Summer League was hilarious. I thought that was funny. He's like, I played in the NBA Finals. I'm not going to Summer League. To which I would say is a fair request, is a fair thing, but you never know what that. Max Strus always said that was a big thing for him when he got to lead Summer League. That was a big thing. But I get it from Haywood Highsmith. I think that he is. He's gone up against enough of the young talent. I mean, they basically asked him to guard Jason Tatum. What more could he get out of Summer League, other than is he going to be the point guard? Is he going to be the point forward? Working on his handles. So that didn't bother me so much. Omer Yurtseven wants more time to play, which. I don't know what's going to happen here. I will say for Omer, he's always talked a very big game. He thought that there was a chance he was going to start this year, and then basically is, dealt with that terrible ankle injury, which took him out up until, there was a quarter of the season left. And you got to make this decision if you're Eric Spoelstra. Do we work this guy in, or are we going to go with a more veteran presence? And I just think that it just never kind of caught on with Omer. And, mind you, Omer Yurtseven had a lot of success his first year with the Heat. And when Bam was hurt, he was putting on a lot of double-doubles, had a good rapport with Kyle Lowry, who, does a good job getting big men the ball. I think that the guy has some pretty clear rebounding talent. I think that, he can do some, he's not a bum. And I think we were all dazzled by the numbers that he was putting on in Summer League. His first year around, we were like, oh man, they got to get this guy signed before anybody else scoops him up. He was putting on that kind of crazy numbers. But I also wonder for him, look, does he end up going somewhere? Maybe. It could be, but I think that's going to be one of those things where, they'll have to have that talk with him on whether or not they actually see a role for him, because I do think that with the Heat taking these home run cuts all over the place, with the Bradley Beal rumors, Damian Lillard rumors, look, they're going to be looking for those next wave of undrafted guys on the cheap end of talent that can produce for them. So I don't rule it out that Omer Yurtseven could do something for this team and could be becoming productive. Now, the big question about that is going to be with the next guy that I want to talk about, which is Nikola Jovic. And you guys know that I've grown an affinity for Nikola Jovic with some of the workout videos that I put up there. That one that I had of him and Caron Butler, I mean, that got crazy amount of views on IG. And Jovic revealed in his exit interview that he has put on a lot of weight, muscle, mass, since he's been with the Miami Heat.
From a size standpoint, where did you begin training camp weight-wise? Where are you now, and what's the goal?
I think I started at 220 or 222. Now I'm at 239. As long as I can, stay, keep defending other guys, keep defending different positions, and stay, keep being fast. And I think adding weight is not a problem,
Dude, 239 pounds of Serbian steel coming at you. Jovic, dude. Nikola Svovic just putting on. Look, his body, obviously, we've talked about this in previous videos before. It looks like there's been a change there, that this guy has turned himself into something that is going to look a lot more useful. Like, Spo talked about this in the middle of the year, where he was like, We got him in our weightlifting program right now. He's so young, so young. Kid hasn't graduated high school yet, right? Like, 19 years old. There's a lot of time that they could build on this guy and get him right. I think the thing that's going to be interesting about it is, like, everybody, the name, where he's from, the size. Even if you look back at, the flashes, the very little flashes that we got before he got the back injury of what he was able to do, will people look at that in any of these trade rumors and say he piques their interest just as a prospect? And will the Heat, hold him close? Will the Heat do they like what they are seeing with him and what he can go with? I mean, the kid works hard, very hard on himself in workouts too. Very much a perfectionist in the time that I've gotten to see him work out, like really wants to get things right. Some guys are more internalized. Not Jovic. Jovic, like when he botches something, a lot of yelling at himself, a lot of clapping his hands, a lot of, really encouraging himself to get things right. I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued by the passing, very intrigued by the fit next to Bam, very intrigued by what he can provide as a ball handler. I'm very intrigued by, what he can grow as a playmaker. I think the shooting is the thing that, he still, has to touch up on some certain stuff, especially, spot up and things like that. But, they'll work that stuff hard. He got all those drills, and we've seen what they've been able to do with guys like, Caleb Martin. We've seen what they do with they empower guys when it comes to shooting the rock. So I'm not concerned about stuff like that. I think that is stuff that is going to develop. And also, you got to think about when you have all this mass and getting used to using that body and having to deliver and be something that can produce, like that's also something that he has to get used to. As he says there, like as long as I can defend guys and I can still keep my quickness in front of them, yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. Because I do think that when you saw him this year, yeah, there were times where he looked lost, he looked a little behind on things, but you go to the age, you go to the injury, you go to the times that they kind of just threw him to the deep end with the roster that they had. And, obviously there's a lot of growth that has to happen there. But, as they always like to say with this team, having guys in their system. And I think with him, it's so interesting because you see the measurables on him. You see that he clearly has the results that shows he works hard. And that's, mind you, with dealing with an injury this year. So with all of that stuff, hovering over him and where he wants to grow as a player, I don't know how you're not intrigued by what Jovic can bring to the table next year and what that can mean for this team. Because, look, it's great finding all these gems and guys who are cast off and finding those guys who are, rugged, and especially not even just the undrafted thing, but you got guys who are adults, right? Like you get guys who are 24, 25, 26, in a locker room, mature. With Nikola, it's a little bit different because it's like he's a kid who's going to grow up around the organization, and what can they make of that should he be with the team, and they make things happen. But he has also said that he believes that he's grown everywhere this season.
I would say every part, physically, I've improved my shot a lot. I've improved my being versatile and doing everything on the court, So we worked on everything, You never know in which ways I can help my team and which way they need me to help them. So I just stay ready, worked on everything that I knew I already had, and we'll see what happens.
Confidence, dude. Calm. He doesn't need to oversell anything on anybody. I love that about Jovic and what he's bringing to the table. So very intriguing. Liked it very much to hear all of this from the young fella and what he had to bring to the table with that. And very curious to see where this lies and how many people will be plugging more. He was so much of kind of an unknown this year, right? Like how many people even realize, he got in there. You see the smiles on him. He had some. I will say for Jovic, for his rookie season, had some funny memes that he was able to make already in his young NBA career. So the guy is getting eyeballs on him, but I think that, outside of people looking at it and be like, oh, that's kind of weird. They got a Jokic and they got a Jovic, and their names are very similar. But cool that there is a friendship there as well. Curious too, like what would happen if there's a national team. He's got some interest in that, how that lines up with the G League team, or with the Summer League team, excuse me, because I think that was the thing with Omer last year, is that they didn't want him to go play for Turkey. They wanted him to be in the Summer League. And I think with this year, that'd also be a priority for Miami, where they want to keep their first-round pick from playing for Serbia. But that being said, maybe not the worst thing in the world that he would get an opportunity to play it with Jokic if Jokic went, right? And Serbia is no joke as a team. Not to give any disrespect to Turkey, but I'm just saying, like, Serbia is one of those teams that people think is a big-time legit threat. So maybe Miami looks at that and says, you know what? He's going to be playing against some of the best guys in the world. Maybe that is a good place for him to go and see what his skills are. So I don't know what the decision-making is going to be there, but he clearly has an interest if that option does get brought to him. Again, we're talking about a guy who's very, very young and still has and still clearly has some growing to do, but sophomore Nikola Jovic, I think, has a lot of Heat fans intrigued about what could be on the horizon for him, especially with all this new mass added to him and just how hard he seems to work. So very, very intriguing thing that came out of the old exit interviews.